what do we have here? Is that Ellen with an ankle bracelet? And she looks like she's panicking big time. Watch this.
Deck of cards, okay? They're all different. You can see that. I can't see them. I don't know what card is what. I'm going to pick a card. I'm going to call it out, and then I'm going to just find it, okay? 4 of hearts. 6 of hearts. It's very close. I'm going to try it 2 more times. 4 of hearts. 6 of diamonds. 1 more time. 4 of hearts. All right. Try to figure something out. That's not working.
Look at her right off the bat. She looks like she's aged 10 years in a freaking day. She seems like she's panicked. The cards all add up to 17, and then she says, try to figure something out. That's not working, all right? I think they have flipped this on its head, and the storm is here.
All right, so the interesting thing there with Ellen, with the ankle monitor, and that was during the COVID lockdown, is that the shirt she's got on has the trafficking logo, travel trafficking logo that I think the CIA came out with a whole bunch of different ones that they use. The thing is with her and Tom Hanks, the rumor was out there that they turncoat to the white hats, meaning, I don't know, they got interrogated, or like she says in the video, that she figures out Q is real. But I'm not sure. She looks like she's got a serious look on her face. I don't know at that point if she's acting. From what I heard, there's a bunch of them in Hollywood that have been playing their part and doing their thing to take down, these POSs. And so I'm on the fence with Tom Hanks and Ellen on that. I don't know. Now, she did, flee out of the country. Now, if she would have been, it's possible that they, made that arrangement after she ratted out what she ratted out. But I don't know, because we're going to find that out, I think, here maybe coming at some point. But the story goes 800,000 kids go missing a year, or was going missing a year in this trafficking thing. And that's where, the Q stuff came about, and they tried to grill Trump on it. And Trump said that, hey, if they're against child trafficking, is there a problem with that? Remember when they took all the YouTube channels back down at that point in time? They're all back up now. Digital soldiers are back up, preaching the truth. These sickos. The sickos in Hollywood, the sickos in the political field, and your sickos across the world. So, anyway, I think more stuff eventually will come out in the light, right? From dark to light. So let's just kind of show the story here.
There's a reason why they pushed the conspiracy labels so hard. Because there's so many acts that are taking place in this world that are so sick that people would only think it's a conspiracy. Donald Trump is preparing us for the very worst. Yesterday, his post took us to Haiti, the adoption process, satanic rituals, and child sacrifices. Or his post recently had the word cooking in twice. And if you type in cooking into the Q post, it takes us to spirit cooking. And it says, you didn't think spirit cooking was just pretend, did you? And it gives you a link to the Cannibal Club, cannibalism. Well, Donald Trump's been preparing us for a little while. Can you remember a few times where he mentioned Hannibal Lecter?
During the campaign, I talk about the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Do you know who that is, Hannibal Lecter? Silence of the Lambs, I'd talk about it, and the fake news would go crazy. Why does he keep mentioning? Well, they don't want to have Hannibal in our midst.
You remember the movie where it showed us?
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Can you remember the TV program where it showed us?
What happened to his leg?
Maybe the killer had to cut off his leg just so he'd fit.
What did Dr. Lecter say? am I about to put in my mouth?
Rabbit.
He should have hopped faster.
Yes, he should have.
Cooking human meat. This is where it gets really sick. And then Q post says spirit cooking is bigger than you can imagine. And in that post it says there's a reason why there was many Hollywood actors that were enslaved children that were put into Hollywood, that become models. They were rescued from this. Hollywood have been preparing us for a very long time. And we even saw during that conspiracy phase, during 2020, the spirit cooking dinner. And there was Will Ferrell at the table and they showed you. This sort of stuff goes on all around the world. The Rothschilds, Black Forest, hunting parties. It's going to get sick, and it's going to link to Haiti, the adoptions, the child smuggling. It's all going to link. And then there's this one post on Q that says, who is the Queen? How long has she been in power for? With power comes corruption. Then it mentions Princess Diana, and it said, what did Princess Diana find out? Why was she trying to escape? And then who could she trust to make that happen? What was the cover? We're going to find out a lot about Princess Diana too in that same post. It talks about Satan. Who worships Satan in power? Who wears the cross upside down? Then it mentions spirit cooking, and it says, what does spirit cooking represent? A cult. What does a cult worship? It's going to take us again back to the Rothschilds. There's a reason why this stuff has been hidden from us, because it was shot the world. But the world's now prepared for it because we're seeing all the other corruption. But it's going to link to this most horrible of crimes, and this is what we've been fighting a long time, and this is why we've had to be prepared for this moment in time.
How'd that make you feel? Giving a child his freedom.
Felt good.
You have been at this for 12 years.
My country 'tis of thee.
Why are you doing it?
Because God's children are not for sale. It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
We're Homeland Security. You know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
And yet somehow you have failed to bring me one real-world lead.
It's over, Tim. Close up and come back home.
So you quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
South of that river is all rebel territory. No one goes in.
What if this was your daughter?
Sorry, she's gone. Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care.
Most people don't want to cross the psychological line that this stuff is going on. And we all have a mental defense mechanism. It's like finally admitting there's an elite pedophile ring. I mean, most people just don't want to go there. And the same is here. Psychologically, you lose your safety, your security, and whatever innocence you have when you realize that this stuff is really going on. And it's it's a chore to cross over that barrier and realize, oh my gosh, this stuff is really happening. And that's why it takes critical thinking. The people have got to look at this stuff critically and see what they're being fed so they can cross that psychological line that they just refuse to see it when it's right in front of them.
When Kevin said there's an elite pedophile ring, well, I'm thinking to myself, this is a hard thing for me to come to terms with. Now, it made me start thinking about conversations and things I'd heard, but I'd never saw it. It's not out in the open. And to me, I was like, no one could do that. Because, I mean, if I saw someone hurting a kid, I would kill them. I mean, I would literally kill them. I would never allow someone to hurt a child in front of me. Things Kevin was saying were things that were hard for me to cross the barrier. I did not want to believe it. I didn't want to go there. But as I went down this journey, I forced myself to go consider, what if this is real? And the only person that was talking about this stuff was a girl named Liz Crokin. And the media had declared her completely out of her mind. But as I started researching some of the things she was reporting on, I was like, there's truth to what she's saying. So I want to talk to her.
I started working in journalism at a very young age. I got my first job working for Fox Chicago at about the age of 17 years old. At the University of Iowa, I studied political science and journalism. One semester, I interned for Bill O'Reilly at Fox News Channel. My last year in college, I interned for the State Department's White House reporter, and that placed me reporting in the White House every single day for a few months. I went on to work for the Chicago Tribune, and my first boss there told me that everything that I should get should be checked over and over and over again and verified to death. That's how I was trained, and that's what a true, honest journalist does. I started covering local politics and local hard news, and then eventually I got my own column for 7 years where I interviewed tons of celebrities and politicians and musicians, and worked at Us Weekly, and then at one point I worked at In Touch Weekly magazine. But then in 2015, I felt the need to get back into covering hard news, and in early 2016 I started working for Town Hall, and then eventually I started working for the New York Observer and broke a lot of election related stories. I worked in media for over 2 decades, and I never had any issues. I was very well respected. I basically was embraced by the mainstream media until I started reporting on Pizzagate. Now, when Pizzagate came out, the media tried to turn Pizzagate into something that wasn't.
Surprises of the presidential campaign was the explosion of fake news on the internet.
28-year-old Edgar Welch was arrested in Washington Sunday afternoon outside Comet Ping Pong, a popular family pizza parlor. D.C. police say Welch fired at least 1 round into the restaurant floor with an AR-15 rifle like this one on his Facebook page. No one was injured.
Someone on Twitter, whose name remains unverified but has several thousand followers, posted that new emails found on Anthony Weiner's computer confirmed that Hillary Clinton was involved in a pedophilia ring. The rumor spread, inspiring some newfound internet sleuths to start digging around in John Podesta's hacked emails, searching for proof and location of the so-called sex ring.
In those emails, they are absolutely littered with code words, and many of these code words are food words such as pizza.
Somebody said to me, "Hey Dave, search for pizza in Podesta's emails. And once you go down that rabbit hole, you never really emerge the same person."
It was obvious from the get-go that these words were code words for something else, because the context that they were used in did not make sense.
To be clear, not one single email in the Podesta emails discusses child sex trafficking or pedophilia. That is a fact. But there are dozens of what seem to be strangely worded emails dealing with pizza and handkerchiefs. Investigators say that those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by pedophiles.
There is some kind of code language. They're just not talking about pizza, folks. Who phrases that? Who blocks out an hour of time to eat a slice of pizza?
You can get a service for a half an hour, you can get a massage for a half an hour, but you can't get food for a half an hour. It just absolutely makes no sense.
There's other ones like, the realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. And another one is, Obama spent $65,000 flying in pizza and hot dogs from Chicago. Are we using the same channels?
Pizza is a well-known pedophile code word that actually has been used by law enforcement to arrest online sexual predators of children. And there's been multiple arrests that have been made by law enforcement of pedophiles trying to solicit children by using the pedophile code word pizza.
2007 unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains commonly used symbols by pedophiles to express their preference in children. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago.
People don't know that because the mainstream media refuses to cover it.
The entire mainstream media redefined what Pizzagate was to make it sound ridiculous and less believable, and then they had people like Megyn Kelly come in, interview James Alefantis, didn't ask him any challenging questions.
A conspiracy theory that even the DC police say has no basis in fact.
She didn't ask him any questions about the pictures of children on his Instagram page looking abused, being sexualized. She didn't ask him about the pedophile talk. So the whole mainstream media painted him as this poor victim, as this person that was innocent, that was just victimized, as something that wasn't true. But just his Instagram page alone should have been enough for authorities to look into him.
Investigators have already proven there's nothing to the story, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what you need to know. For all that is here, there has not been one single public investigation of any of this. Not from local police, not from the FBI, no one. And that has to be the big question. Not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement. Based on what may be or may not be here, the big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place?
This is insane.
So many people in the mainstream media have said Pizzagate is a conspiracy theory. Pizzagate has been debunked. It has not been debunked. If it's been debunked, explain the code words. No one to this day, including John Podesta himself, can explain the code words in his emails.
Hey, John Podesta, can you please explain why you have children rented for entertainment for your adult hot tub parties? No one has ever explained why John Podesta has literal pedophile and cannibalism paintings all over his office and his home. Tony Podesta too. And then you look into the spirit cooking dinners, and you look into Marina Abramovic, who's the one that was conducting the spirit cooking dinners. Why are they going to spirit cooking dinners? Why are they sacrificing chicken to Moloch in their backyard? This isn't my words, this is their words. This is in their emails.
I'd be willing to debate anyone who thinks that Pizzagate has been debunked.
You asked me when how am I getting additional briefings? That was the first and last time I talked.
So October 9th is the last time you've heard from the FBI at all?
Yes.
You have not got an update on the investigation to your personal email?
That is correct.
So not only did the mainstream media lie to you about Pizzagate, they actually told you that it was illegal to read John Podesta's emails on WikiLeaks. Chris Cuomo, with a straight face on CNN, looked into the cameras and said, it's illegal for you to read John Podesta's emails.
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess
these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
That's how scared they are of those emails, and that's how explosive the content in those emails are. That they felt the need that they had to tell you you could not read those emails, and if you do, you might get arrested. Lie.
It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
People that blow the whistle on elite pedophiles tend to have accidents, and a lot of those people have died mysteriously.
NBC News has learned that disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Epstein took his own life while he was behind bars.
There's absolutely no excuse for this. What happened here, to me, is mind-boggling. The guy was a high-risk prisoner, wasn't he? I mean, he's a guy that there are probably 50 very important people that have a motive to kill him. We don't even know who they are. It's true. But we know there are some people that are in a lot of trouble because of Epstein. They know who they are.
His flight logs contain names of some of the biggest, most famous, and most powerful people on the planet. Members of the royal family, Prince Andrew, models like Naomi Campbell, famous actors like Kevin Spacey, Bill Clinton on those flight logs over 25 times. Hillary Clinton, she's also been to the island. So the bigger question is, how many people that went on his private jet, that went to his private island, that went to his massive ranch in New Mexico were also involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of children?
It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
And the amazing thing about Cindy McCain is that her husband was a senator. She was on a board with the governor of Texas. She knew about Jeffrey Epstein. She did nothing. And her organization, the role of her organization is supposed to be to stop people like Jeffrey Epstein. They all knew. They did nothing about it. When Ricky Gervais said at the Golden Globes, "You're all friends with Jeffrey Epstein," he wasn't lying.
So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right, but...
And how many of those elites have been to his island? Not only is the mainstream media complicit, I would argue that they're accessories in the crimes against children.
She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years.
Now raise your hand in the air. Make a fist. Vote for Trump. Vote for Trump. Vote for Trump. Thank you, Arizona. May God bless you, your family, and the United States of America.
Friends, delegates, and fellow Americans, I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States. Together, we will lead our party back to the White House, and we will lead our country back to safety, prosperity, and peace.
Are you coming to the train where brave men called out for a wall built by crane? Media is terrified they can't control his reign. Let's meet this year on the Trump train.